Today's lesson is a free webinar. Okay, this is a free lesson taken from our online learning course for junior coding. If you're interested in coding classes today and you liked it, then we have one more free stream next week. And then after that, we have some awesome streams planned for the holidays. So if you go to our webpage and creatoracademy.com.au, you can scroll down to our Easter holiday classes, our holiday webinars. And then we have a 5-day course here called Scratch 3 Games for Brains. These are a little bit more challenging games that we are going to build, and they're all going to be super fun as well, especially if you have done Scratch before. If you're a bit older, then you might be interested in the Python webinars. If you're looking for something to do in Term 2, then you go scroll down a bit further. This is the Term 2 webinars for Coding with Scratch 3.0. If you're dialing in from overseas, then just check the dates and the times to make sure that the dates and times are correct for you. Okay. During those webinars, we are going to try to record the lesson even if you forget to log on or if you're busy and you don't log on. And then you'll be able to still watch the missed lessons if you haven't been there live, but we will remove the videos after a fixed period. Okay. All right. Hi, Emily. Thank you very much for joining us again. And just like what Emily has just done, all you have to do if you have a question and you're on Zoom, then down the bottom of the screen, there is a Q&A button. You go into Q&A and then you can type me your question. Okay, so when I have a spare moment in the middle of the lesson, then I will try to answer your questions live during the webinar. If you want to ask me something over the microphone, then you can hit the raise hand button. Once you've hit the raise hand button, I will see a little notification pop up on my screen, and then I will tell you when you're ready to talk. When I ask you to talk, make sure you ask your question in a big loud voice into the microphone, and make sure you turn down all your TVs or your music around you. That way we can hear your voice and not be distracted. Okay. It is 56 past. We have another 4 minutes or so before we get started. So I'll just keep on talking about the starting routine before we get started. Okay. All right. If you haven't joined us before, we need to install Scratch. So go and use your web browser, hopefully on your computer. You go into scratch.mit.edu/download. Then you choose your operating system. Choose the one that is right for you. And then you go down to direct download. Direct download will mean that you get the package and you won't have to go and sign into the app stores, okay? Or on the Microsoft Store. But if you've accidentally downloaded it from the store, that's still okay. You just might have to do a few more steps. After you've installed it or downloaded it, you got to run the program to install it for Windows. And for Mac OS, you just have to drag the Scratch icon into your applications folder. After you have installed, then you will open Scratch for desktop. Scratch looks like this. So this is my blank screen, and you always start with the Scratch cat as a sprite that's added onto the screen. On the left-hand side is our library of code. In the middle is our coding area where we drag different code blocks from our library. And then on the right-hand side here is our stage. And then down the bottom here is our sprites and their properties. Down the bottom right corner, you can add more sprites and you can choose and add more backdrops. Okay, so today's lesson, we are going to talk about creating an interactive chatbot that can also play a game with the player, okay? It's going to be a little bit more complex than the last two streams. So if you've been with us for the last two streams and you're getting the hang of it, fantastic, because this lesson is going to be quite a little bit harder. If you haven't done Scratch before, don't be overwhelmed if you start to get have lots of questions and not sure how to do it. I will still hang out around for the next for about 10 or 15 minutes after the lesson is over, and I will try my best to answer as many questions as I can. Even if I can't answer your question straight away, you can always email me your file, or you can just say, hey, Gary, I've had a lot of difficulty. I joined in halfway through the lesson. Can you please email the whole file to me? And I'll definitely do that for you as well. Okay, so my email is info@creatoracademy.com.au, or you can go to our website to find it. Okay, once you email me, I'll most definitely email you back the file that we used today. All right. Okay, welcome. We got so many new people today. This is incredible. Like I said, Creator Academy is based in Sydney. We are an tuition company that has been operating for the last 4 years. Okay, so we have recently tried to take all of our classes online just to give our friends and our families some peace of mind in this current environment so that we can still be learning coding from home. Okay, so if your mum and dad are here and they are listening, then feel free to ask me questions anytime during the lesson, as well as the students. Okay, no problems at all. Like I said, if you are interested in the class today, then make sure you go to our website. Okay, so our website is creatoracademy.com.au. And then you scroll down to the webinars, and after next week's free lesson, we have a big 5-day Scratch course over here called Games for Brains. Inside Games for Brains, we are going to go through some really awesome games that we can build with Scratch, and it's going to be much more complicated as well. If you are a little bit older and you want to learn Python, then we've got some Python courses. And if you're looking for something to do in term 2, then you can scroll down a bit further, and here are our term 2 webinars, which are full of weekly courses as well. Like I said, today is going to be a free lesson. It is scheduled from 8 o'clock to 9 o'clock, but it is going to run for about 45 minutes. And then I'm going to allow for some time at the start and at the end to answer questions. And speaking of questions, we already have someone who wants to ask a question. So all you have to do is raise your hand, just like this student. And I will say, Ben Cheng, you may now speak. So make sure you turn off your mute button, and then let us know. Yep.
So where do I get the games and Python and stuff?
Yeah. So make sure you talk to your mum and dad, and I will be teaching you how to build games with Python in the holidays if you are interested in the Python course. Okay.
Okay.
So it's that easy, guys. All you have to do is just put up your hand and then let me know if you want to ask a question. All right. So I'll get started. Everyone can hear me okay, I'm assuming. If I'm starting to drop out and I'm still talking as though I can hear you, but as though you can hear me, but you can't, then definitely let me know. Hi, Nathan. Okay. Yeah, feel free to talk to me in the chat as well. Okay. So today we're going to start a new project, and the theme of today is a chatbot. Now, what is a chatbot? A chatbot is a computer program. Okay, it is a computer program that acts like a person, and it talks to the person, talks to the user. The user is the name that we give a person who is using your program. Okay, a user is different to a programmer. A programmer is what we are doing, right? We understand the program, and then we are designing a program for people. But a user, the way I think of it is a user is like grandma or grandpa. It is your aunts and uncles. These are people who might not know as much about programming as you do. And they need to be treated differently to a programmer, because a programmer knows all the ins and outs of a program, right? They know all the coding and things like that. We know how to solve problems. But then after we build a program, we need to design it for a user. And the way that we do that is we make it so that it is as easy as possible for a user to use. Okay, and the chatbot is one of the ways that we do that. Has anybody raise your hand? Anybody who has heard of a chatbot or who has talked to a chatbot before, and see if you can tell us what a chatbot is. Anybody want to raise their hand? No? So let me tell you about what chatbots are used for, okay? These days, a lot of really big companies like airlines or food takeaway companies, they use chatbots. Instead of you ringing up and you talking to a person to order your food, you might go online and then someone will start talking to you. But that's not a real person. It's an actual program that is designed to talk to you and take your order for you. Why do you think we use a chatbot and not talk to a real person? Who wants to put up their hand and give me a good reason why you think that we would want to talk to a chatbot and not to a real person? Emily.
Otherwise, they will be too busy, and they won't be able to do the other things they need to do.
Fantastic. That is an excellent point, okay? Emily is right on the money, okay? Imagine if I was an airline, okay? And I'm taking calls, okay? So I have Emily or somebody sitting at a phone taking calls, but every time someone calls, almost every time it is just to book a flight from one place to another. And then Emily almost every time has to tell them how much it's going to cost. And almost every time they're going to have to give them their payment details, okay? They're going to have to say, oh, these are my payment details. So if she has to do this conversation over and over and over and over and over again, then it's going to take a lot of time, okay? Whereas if we set a program, then people will be able to chat with a chatbot and think they're talking to a human. But instead they are talking to a robot, and the robot is doing all their bookings for them. But why don't we just give them a form to enter? Why is it that we make it look like that there is a person talking to them? Does anyone want to put up a hand to tell me why we want to make it look like there is a person talking to you and not make them try to fill out a form? Ben Chen. You got your microphone muted, Ben? Yep.
So I think it's like, so if you let a person talk to the user will get like more information, and it won't get like, if it has any problems, it won't just get stuck.
Good. So that's a really good point. Okay, so what Ben Chang mentioned was they want to feel like that they are engaging in some sort of dialogue. If I said, okay, you can book a flight, but I'm going to make you fill out this form, then a lot of people will look at the form and go, oh, not another form, right? I don't want to fill all this out. Whereas if I'm talking to a chatbot and I don't realize it that I'm talking to someone, that I'm not talking to someone, then I might be more willing to hang around a little bit more. And because I'm feeling like that I'm being looked after, somebody is paying attention to me. And that brings us to another really important thing, which is we need to be able to create a chatbot so that it is very similar to a human. How do humans converse with you? Well, humans will talk to you and they will also listen to you, right? If I was drawing a form, I'm not listening to you. I'm just saying, you fill this out, you fill this out, you fill this out, you fill this out, all right? But a chatbot might not do that. Chatbot might go, hey, what's your name? And then when you say what your name is, they'll go, oh, hi Ben Chen, or hi Emily. Nice to meet you. Good morning. What would you like me to help you with today? So it would make the user feel a lot better, okay? So imagine if the user is someone like your aunt or uncle who doesn't do a lot on the computer, and they see someone talking to them, they might feel like they want to talk and give more information, okay? So that's what we are going to try and do. All right, so the start of this is going to be quite simple, okay? We are going to create a chatbot. So we are going to create a robot, okay? So let's delete our cat in Scratch by pressing the bin on the corner, and then choose a backdrop. I want you to choose a nice and science fiction-like backdrop, okay? It has to look like something that a robot would live in, because we want to make it so that this robot is going to be kind of futuristic, because it's going to be kind of cool. Well, maybe a spaceship would be cool for this particular chatbot, okay? So when you're watching Star Wars, or you're watching Star Trek, or any of these other science fiction movies, you might have a robot helper inside a spaceship, right? This is kind of like a chatbot, okay? It's a robot. It's not an actual person who's talking to you. All right. Whoop. Yep. Yes, Ben Chen?
So can I do other things like, so not a spaceship?
Yeah, absolutely. You can change your backdrop if you want, and this is just a suggestion, okay? Cool. All right. So we got choose a backdrop, and then I want you to choose a sprite. But I want you to choose a sprite of someone who you feel like is going to talk to you. I don't want you to choose like an animal, okay? I want you to choose someone, maybe Abby, or maybe some kind of robot, okay? We got all these cool little alien-looking ones. I want you to make sure you choose something that people are going to want to talk to. So a trumpet is probably not a good idea, okay? A violin's probably not a good idea. We want you to create something that people are going to want to talk to, and that's really important to make a chatbot more engaging. I'm going to go retro robot. Okay, so here is my retro robot. Now your sprite can be different, okay? It doesn't matter. Okay. So the first thing I want to talk about is how we're going to interact with the robot. So we're going to make it so that it's going to start talking when you click on the robot. Okay. So let's give it an event. So make sure that your retro robot is selected. So up here you have a transparent image of the retro robot, or whatever character you have. And then we go when this sprite is clicked. When this sprite is clicked, what we want to do is we want the robot to ask the user a question. So we go sensing, and then we're going to ask, what's your name, and wait. This is perfect, okay? This is going to be just great for our first question. Ask, what's your name, and then wait. All right, so we haven't used this block before, but what does the ask block do, okay? The ask, and then your ask question, and then the wait. What it does is it prompts the user, it stops the code, and then it puts a bar down the bottom of your stage, and then it's going to prompt the user to type something in there. And then this is going to be the question that it's going to have in that box. Okay. Charles, do you have a question? Charles, can you unmute your microphone, please? No? That's okay. We will continue on, and then if you still have a question, you can ask me towards the end, okay? All right. So when this sprite clicks, it asks, what's your name? Okay, so let's try that. So I click on the robot, it goes, what's your name? And then down here, I'm going to put my name. Okay. And then tick. Okay. So it feels like that the robot has asked me my name, and it's now taken my name, okay? But we need to keep on coding in order for it to actually use my name, okay? So let's create a variable. So over here, we go into variables down the bottom of the left-hand side here. And now I want you to make a variable. So make sure you hit the make a variable button. Make a variable. And then I want you to call it name. Make it available for all sprites and then click OK. Right? OK. I'll do it again. So go make a variable. New variable name is name for all sprites and then click OK. So now we have a name variable. Now what we're going to do is when the sprite is clicked, we're going to get the robot to ask, what is your name? And then it's going to wait. And then what we're going to do is we're going to enter our name, and then it's going to set the name variable as whatever we've entered. So in order to do that, we go set my variable to. So instead of my variable, we go set name to. And then it says 0, but we're going to change that in a moment. Okay, set name to 0. But we don't want it to be 0 because 0 is not a very useful name, right? We've entered something into the ask block. So we're going to go into sensing, and then we drag answer. Set name to answer. That way, when we entered our name, it's going to change name to whatever we've typed in the box. Okay. So let's experiment with that. Let's go click on our robot and ask me, what's my name? I'm going to say Sarah. And then I'm going to click tick. And then you see up here, name is now changed to Sarah. Okay. All right. Now, has everybody got this far? Is anybody stuck? Is anybody stuck? Raise your hand if you're stuck. Nope. Everybody is looking okay. Oh, we got one. Charles, can you tell me what's wrong?
I'm just doing it. Could you wait here for a second?
Just try to do it. Just try to keep up as much as you can, Charles. Towards the end, I'll try to answer more questions. Okay, I'm going through as slow as I can. All right. All right, Charles. Good luck, Charles. Just follow along. Make sure you are copying these 3 blocks. Okay, these 3 blocks, and then we have an answer parameter inside here. Okay. So here we are. We click on our robot. What is your name? We're going to say Frank. Press enter. And now the name variable up here is now changed to Frank. Fantastic. All right. But now, just because we see this change up here doesn't mean that we are continuing this conversation. We need now the robot to ask the user again, use their name. Okay. So the first thing we did was ask the user for their name. But then after that, we need to make the user feel like we're using their name to do something. So we're going to ask that person, how are you feeling? Or how's your day today? Jimmy, or how's your day today? Sarah? Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to go looks, and then we're going to say hello for 2 seconds. But instead of saying hello for 2 seconds, we want to say the person's name as well. So we go hello, that person's name for 2 seconds. So how are we going to combine hello and that person's name? Well, then we go into operators. Okay, go into operators, and then we go join, and then we say hello space. Because if you don't put the space there, then the person's name is going to go attach straight onto the end of the hello. So we go hello and then the person's name, but we don't put answer. We have to put the actual name variable. So we go into variables, and then we put the name variable in here for 2 seconds. When this sprite is clicked, it's going to ask, what's your name? And then it's going to wait. And then we set the name as the answer. And then we get the robot to say another thing, to say hello, that person's name for 2 seconds. All right, let's try that. So I click on the robot. What's your name? I'm going to go Annie. It says hello Annie. See? So it makes me feel like that the robot is now doing something useful with the person's name. All right, so next thing, we're going to continue on. So when this sprite is clicked, we are going to say hello, that person's name. But now we're going to ask that user another question. We're going to ask, how are you? So if you know how to do it, then I encourage you to do it right now, okay? Because I'm going to do it slowly. But now we've already learned enough to get the robot to ask you, how are you? Okay? All right, hold on for a second. We got a question from Ethan.
Excuse me.
Yep.
Mine doesn't say after hello, mine doesn't say my name.
Well, did you type in your name? Do you have these blocks written exactly the same? So when this sprite is clicked,
Yes.
and then you go ask what's your name and wait.
Yeah.
And then you go set name to answer.
So wait, I think I did something wrong here.
That's okay. Make sure you double check. It's very, very important because one mistake here can cause all sorts of errors, okay? Charles, do you have another question? No? Okay, no problem. So make sure that you've copied it exactly right. Okay, so we say hello, that person's name for 2 seconds, but now we're going to ask that person how you're doing, okay? So how are you? So if you're already ahead, then that's good, okay? Just double check your answer, okay? What we need to do is go ask, what's your name? We change that to how are you? And wait. And then we put it over here. So right now we're asking a second question. Okay. And then we're going to say, what are the answers to how are you? Well, there's really only one answer that we're used to saying. We usually say good, right? We used to say good. But if they say anything other than good, then it's probably not too good, all right? So you can probably say, oh, it's not great or not too bad, or I can say, oh, I'm actually going quite bad, right? Then you're going to handle, this is what we call handling a response, okay? So we say ask, how are you? But now we're going to need to use an if block, an if control block. If then, okay? So we go if then else, because we're going to also handle if they don't have anything else. So we go if then else. If the answer is equal to good, then we're going to say it's great, right? Good on you, that's good. But if it's not that, then we can say something else, okay? So if the answer is good, so we need to go over here to operators. And then we need the equals one. So here it's got a gap. This parameter equals 50. So that's good because that's what we want. We want if the answer equals good. So we need this equals operator. So let's put it in here. So if the answer equals good, so we're going to sensing, we're going to answer equals good. If the answer is good, then what do we say? Well, we say great, that's great, right? So we go into looks, and then we say, that's great for 2 seconds. Okay. But else, what do? We don't say anything. Because one of the challenges of doing a chatbot is trying to get the chatbot to handle as many different things that people can say at the same time. So that it's very, very hard to make it so that the chatbot can understand all different cases, okay? And there are really, really complicated technologies called language understanding programs that can analyze people's language and try to get the gist of what they're trying to say. But with Scratch, we can't do that. So what we're trying to do is we're trying to handle the most likely answers first. But then if we can't handle all the answers, then we have an else block to just ignore it and not do anything with it. Okay, so let's go back to the code and have a look. So when this sprite is clicked, we ask, what's your name? Set the name to whatever the answer is, and then it says, hello, Bob, or hello, whoever that is. And then it asks, how are you? And then it waits. And then if the answer is good, then it says it's great. But if not, then we're just going to stay quiet, okay? All right, let's try that. So what's your name? I'm going to go Mary. Hello, Mary. How are you? I'm going to say good. And then he says, that's great. All right. But now let's try it again, but we don't say good this time, okay? What's your name? I'm going to say my name is Ben. He says, hello, Ben. How are you? And I'm going to say not too good. And then he stays quiet, okay? Because we know how to handle the most likely answer, which is good. But if they say anything more fancy than that, then we just keep quiet because we don't want to break the illusion that we are trying to talk. Okay. Is everybody okay with getting this far? Charles, you have your hand up for a while. Do you want to let me know how you're going? Charles? Orlando, you tell me what's wrong.
I just joined the meeting. So could you wait a bit?
I'll still have to keep on going, Orlando, but you just copy it as quickly as you can, okay?
Okay.
And then at the end of the class, I'll try to spend a little bit of time to answer your questions, all right?
Okay.
No problems, Orlando. Just try your best to follow. I know it's a little bit hard. Today's lesson is going to be a little bit harder, okay? So when this sprite is clicked, we ask, what's your name? And then we say the person's name. And then what it does is it asks, how are you? And then after that, it says, that's great if we say good, okay? Now, I'm doing a pattern here, okay? I'm getting the robot to constantly ask us the question, okay? The robot is constantly asking the user a question. Why don't I do it the other way around? Why don't I get the robot to wait until we talk to it first? Who wants to raise their hand to tell me why it's a good idea for me to get the robot to do all the asking instead of getting us to do the asking for the robot? Emily, you want to have a go of answering?
Because then they might keep on waiting or think they're not that nice because they're not like asking how are you, what's your name, and if you like ask second what's your name when the other person just said something, it doesn't actually work.
Yeah, that's right. Excellent work, Emily. So there's a few points in what Emily said. Okay, so it's going to be harder for people to talk to a robot because it's like we're not sure how to talk to a robot. Do we ask the robot how you're doing, right? How are you going, robot? Right? It's always much more comfortable to answer a question than to ask a question. Okay, so we get our robot to ask us the question, okay? And then there's another really good reason why we get the robot to ask a question. It's because then we narrow down the possibilities of what that person can say, right? If we get the robot to say, what's your name? And then just leave it as that question, then whatever the person says next is most likely going to be their name, okay? Whereas if we stay quiet, we're not sure what that person is going to say first. Is that person going to introduce themselves or is he going to ask me how I am? So it's going to be a lot easier for the programmer if we initiate the conversation first and we guide the conversation by asking the user more questions instead of waiting for the user to ask me questions. And that's going to be the pattern here. You're going to see that our chatbot is going to seem like very friendly and it's talking to the user, but it's also really important for us as programmers, because we need to make sure that the robot is going to narrow the conversation to what we want to hear. Okay. All right. So after all of this, we want to start playing a game with the robot. So why do we want to play a game with the robot? Well, there's a lot of reasons. Okay. Sometimes people can get really, really lonely. Okay. And sometimes people might not be comfortable talking with other people in real life. And then a chatbot could be a way to engage with these people who are a little bit shy or a little bit quiet, and it gives them some company as well. So it lets them engage with it. So what we're going to do is, as the robot, after we ask the person how they are, we're going to get the robot to ask the person if they want to play a game. Okay, so let's do that. So we're going to looks. Oh no, we're going to sensing. We're going to ask the user another question. We're going to ask you, do you want to play a game? Okay. Ask, do you want to play a game? And make sure we put it at the very end of all these blocks. Okay. You want to play a game? And then what are the possible answers to this question? Well, it's either yes or no. It's very simple, okay? But all we have to care about is yes, okay? Because yes is the only version that we are going to care about. Because if they don't want to play a game, then we'll be like, okay, no problems. We'll just end the conversation there. But if you want to play a game, then we're going to do this whole other program. Okay, so we asked, do you want to play a game? If you know what to do from now, then feel free to do it straight away. Okay, so don't have to wait for me. We're going to a control. We're going to if then block. We're going to say if the answer is yes, then we're going to broadcast to play a game. If the answer is yes, so that means that we need an operator. If the answer equals yes, so here it's the parameter equals 50. So we change the parameter to from 50 to yes. And then we drag this operator into the if then block. So if the answer is equal to yes, then we're going to continue on and play the game. So the answer is, of course, in sensing. We go answer, sensing. If the answer is yes, then we play a game. Okay, so we need to broadcast a new event called play game or start game. Let's go into events. And then I want you to broadcast message 1. But here, instead of message 1, we got new message. The new message is start space game. All right, I'm going to do it one more time really slowly. Go into broadcast message 1, but instead of message 1, you go click it, you go new message, and you go start space game. We go okay. Broadcast start game, and that's only if the user says yes to do you want to play a game. Okay. All right. So now this is going to start to get really hard. So make sure that you are up to here. Is anyone stuck or really stuck? I've got any questions? I'm going to check in with Charles again because Charles mentioned that you had a problem before. Charles, how are you doing with your copying? Nope, it's okay. Right. I'm going to continue on now. Make sure that you are broadcasting start space game. Okay, this is really important for our next part because when we need the when I receive message. Okay, when I receive message 1, instead of message 1, we click it, we go start game. When I receive start game. So it used to be message 1, but now we're going to say when I receive start game, we start another line of code. Okay. All right, so how many times do we want to play a game? We're going to play 3 times. So we're going to control. We're going to go repeat 10, but instead of 10, we're going to repeat 3 times. We're going to play 3 games of heads or tails. Do you know what's heads or tails? Heads or tails is like I say, I'm about to flick a coin, and then there's a 50-50 chance, right, where it lands on heads or tails. So we're going to play this game 3 times to where we play heads or tails. Okay, so we're going to go looks, and we say, let's play heads or tails. Okay, let's play heads or tails. Right. I'm going to move across here just so that we can see this a little bit more. Let's play heads or tails for 2 seconds. And then we ask the person, do you want to choose heads or tails? So we go sensing, and then we ask, heads or tails? And wait. Heads or tails, then wait. Now, we have to get the user to play the game, okay? So they have to answer heads or tails, okay? Otherwise, it's not going to work properly, okay? And if they don't say heads or tails, then we're going to assume that they don't want to play anymore, okay? Because if I said heads or tails, and then you say something that's not heads or tails, then you probably don't want to play. So we're going to operators. Oh, well, no, we don't. We don't know operator. We're going to control. We want to say if the user has clicked, has said heads or tails, then we do something, okay? So we go if then block. Now we're going to only trigger whatever's inside this block when they say heads or tails. So we need to go operators, and it's heads or tails, okay? So both can be right, so we need the or operator. So now we need to say if the answer is equal to heads or the answer is equal to tails. So the 2 parameters inside the operator is another equals one. So it is equals heads and equals tails. So we go parameter equals heads and parameter equals tails. And we'll put it in the other one. And then what is it that equals heads and what is it that equals tails? It's answer. So we're going to sensing, and then we go answer for both. All right, so I'm going to hold here for another minute while I answer another question. Yolanda, you have your hand up?
It's not working for me.
What's not working?
It only lets me put 1 block. It doesn't let me put the block on the.
So have you got receive? Are you up to when you receive start game over here, where my arrow is?
Yeah.
And then you've got a big repeat block with three in the repeat?
Yeah. It only lets me put in 1 block at a time.
Sorry, what was that?
It only lets me put in 1 block at a time.
Oh, you want to make it 1 block at a time?
Yeah. It only lets me put 1 block at a time.
Which lets you put 1 block at a time?
The
if here?
Oh, never mind. I think I've got it now.
Okay, no problem. So yeah, this is a little bit hard, I understand. So if at the end of the lesson you still it doesn't work, then ask your mum and dad to email your file to me, okay? And I'll tell you what's wrong. Okay? All right. So if you have a question from Facebook as well, feel free to type out your question in the discussion area below. All right. If the answer equals heads or the answer equals tails, then what do? We're going to play the game. Okay. We're going to go, we'll do another if block. We go if, and then we go operators, and then we're going to do a random number and see if it equals 1 or 2. Okay, if it equals 1, then the player wins. If it equals 2, then the player loses, because heads or tails is a 50-50 chance game. Okay, so we go, it's either win or lose. It's exactly 50-50% chance. So we go here, we go, if a random number between 1 and 2 equals 1 or 2. Okay, so we need the equals operator here. So we go equals 1. So this operator equals 1. We'll put it here. And then, okay, sorry about that. We're going to use a if else. Okay, so it's let's remove that. We're going to use if then else. If then else. Sorry about the confusion. So if then else, and then if the random number is equal to 1, then the player wins. Else the player loses. So now, how do we do a random number? We go into operators again, and then we go pick random 1 to 2, because it can only be either 1 or 2. Then we go and go if the random number between 1 and 2 is equal to 1, then the player wins. So if the player wins, we get the robot to tell the player, you win. Okay, so we go looks, and it says, you win. And then if it's not, if it's equal to 2, then we say you lost, okay? All right. And then it's going to play these 3 games, heads or tails. Now, but before we keep on going, we're going to get them to ask one more thing, and that is, do you want to keep playing? Okay, so all we have to do is we go into sensing again, you go ask, do you want to play again? Over here. And then if the answer is yes, then all we have to do is broadcast start game again. So here we go if, so go control, we go if the answer is yes. So we've already done this a few times. So if the answer is yes, so the equals parameter operator, and then have the answer in there. Then all we have to do is broadcast the event start game. Broadcast start game. And that is the full program. Okay, so I'll just test it out. Okay, what's your name? Yeah, Gary. Says, hello, Gary. How are you? Good. Says, that's great. You want to play a game? So I say yes. Let's play heads or tails. Heads or tails. So I'm going to say heads. You win. Let's play heads or tails. Heads or tails. Tails. Oh, yes, I won twice in a row. Okay, let's see if I can win 3 times in a row. Heads or tails? Tails. You lost, so I won 2 out of 3. And then it asked me, do you want to play again? Okay, so it's just like a real life person, right? It's somebody who wants to play a game with you and continuously checks up on you and changes up the questions, okay? So that is how you build a chatbot, okay? So Yolanda, you have a question.
I somehow lost the other half of my code saying
so when you this stuff?
yes.
Okay, no problems. I'm going to
And I'm really confused.
You're really confused. I'm going to zoom out a bit and see if you can see more. Like that.
I just can't find the other half of my code.
Can't find the other. Okay, so don't click anything. You go Control Z, And that's the undo key, okay? So when you go Control Z, it will undo the last thing that you did. So you probably accidentally deleted all your things. So do that a couple of times and see.
Undo.
So Control Z. So you hold one finger on Control, on the Control button, and then with the other finger, you press the Z button. Is it not working?
What is control?
Control is down the bottom left of your keyboard. It says CTRL. I tell you what, Yolanda, maybe get your mum and dad to come around and email the file to me, and then what I'll do is I'll send it to you. Is that okay?
Okay.
Or you can ask them to take a picture of the code that I have on the screen, so you can copy in your own time as well. Is that okay?
Yeah.
Cool. No worries. Good work, Yolanda. Jasper, you will have a question? Make sure you unmute your microphone, Jasper.
Yeah. So I accidentally deleted the first part.
So same thing as Yolanda. So go Control Z a few times in case you can recover it. But if you can't,
What?
then
So I go to control.
so Control, one finger on the Control button, and then the other finger you press Z. So you do that to undo the last action that you did. So did you only just delete it accidentally?
No.
No, oh, you deleted it ages ago.
And where's the control button?
Oh, if you've deleted it ages ago, then don't worry about it, because you won't be able to recover it. You'll need to redo that starting code. You're gonna have to copy it out.
Okay.
Sorry about Jasper. If you have any problems, ask your mum or dad to email me. Okay.
Okay.
Okay. All right, Charles. How are you doing, Charles? Charles?
There's a thing called name, but I don't have the name, and mine's called 100.
So it must be that you haven't done this block here. You see where my pointer is? So you need to go set name to answer after what's your name.
Oh, I did it. Yeah.
This one's quite complicated, so you probably need to just check through each block and make sure that it's going right, okay? Right.
Hello.
Dan Cheng, do you have a question? Dan? Okay. All right, so I'm going to hang around on this screen, and the lesson's finished. So if you have got it working, then great job, okay? This is probably the most complicated bit of code that we have done in this series with the 3 streams. We have one more free stream next week, which is going to be just as hard, okay? So hopefully you can keep up and do this again. And if you're interested and you enjoyed these streams, make sure that you sign up for our Easter holiday programs, okay? So make sure you go to creatoracademy.com.au, and then I want you to scroll down to our holiday webinars, okay? Choose Scratch 3 Games for Brains. This is a 5-day course. okay, where we teach you how to build all sorts of really, really cool programs, okay, and it's using lots of the processing power of Scratch. It's really, really cool. And of course, in Term 2, we have the Term 2 Coding with Scratch 3 webinars as well. So make sure that you sign up if you are keen. We have one more class next week that is going to be running for free at the same time. So feel free to join that, and then sign up after that.